Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Warrior 2. In the last part we did stuff here in good old Ep.5, and now we're going to continue on. Now, last part we also learned about 5 crests that we need in order to save the world, and well, now we're actually going to start looking for them, because we need them to get to the final dungeon. And to get to the first one, we actually need to use the monoliths for the first time. We've obviously been to a couple of monoliths in the past, and this is the first one that actually has a warp tile. These are pretty much your way of getting around the overworld much more quickly. Think airships from later Final Fantasies and such. And we want to use them in order to get here. And we got our first new enemies, 2 new enemies actually, Gold Orcs and Smokes. Gold Orcs have around 100 HP, drop a crap load of gold. In fact, I think they drop 255. And can drop a Dragon's Bane, so if you didn't buy one earlier, you can do that here. And Smokes, well, first up they can cast Stop Spell, which is never good. Have around 15 HP and can drop clothes. Not that hard. You can also run into a normal orc enemy, which has around, I think around 60 HP, which can drop an iron spear, but I didn't around here for some reason. Usually the gold orcs are the more common variety, but I ran into them more often than normal orcs. In fact, I didn't run into any normal orcs, and Zale leveled up. This is actually a higher level than I usually am at this point. I'm usually around 14 or so. Then again, I think I did do a bit more grinding this time. And the next new enemy is the Titan Trees. Titan Trees have around 51 HP, can drop a Wizard's Wand, which is pretty useless, honestly. And they can, I forget if it's a Sweet Breath attack or something, but they can lull you to sleep either way, so watch out for that. I don't think they take extra damage from spells, because there's no elemental spells, it's technically just damage elements, really. Because as I mentioned a couple parts ago, all attack spells have the same element, even though they're named after fire spells. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, back when we got Gwaelin, even, was, Gwaelin. This isn't Dragon Warrior 1, back when we got PETA, is that when you get all 3 party members, the world map music changes. And I don't like that. I like the original theme better, I'll be honest. Though the Ep.5 theme I still like more. Anyway, welcome to the next town, the town of Baron. Now I'm going to warn you right now, if you're playing the Game Boy Color version, do not use the inn. If you do, you'll trigger a little sub-quest with the Prince of Cannock getting poisoned, and you won't be able to use him in your party for a short time. Unless you go to a place I'll be going to fairly soon and get a Leaf of the World tree in order to heal him. Do not do that. At all. However, if you're playing the NES and Super Nintendo versions, I think you're good. Also, that guy mentioned something about a fire monolith to get the fire crest. I didn't mention it earlier, but when we were going through the warping through the monoliths, there was one that had just a flame in it. That's the place where the crest is. You could have gotten the item there before they even told you about it. But, I'm going in the order they want you to go, really, I think. I love abusing return to get your ship here, by the way. It's really good if you know the map. Which I barely do, because I'm using maps. Anyway, for our next destination, we want... That was a voice crack. We want to head back north around the continent. And head west right around... now, because the next destination I want to go to is in this general direction. I wonder if they have the lower water encounter rate just because they knew you'd be doing so much water travel. And you don't run into many new enemies in the water, a couple of certain areas aside. Anyway, this little island here is the home of our next destination. That castle there is Osterfair. Come on, make it, damn it. And 2 new enemies, Hawkman and Gas. Gases have around 50 HP, and they can drop a clothes hiding, which is useful, I suppose. Not really. They have pretty much the exact same abilities of the, Smokes. And Hawkman have around 60 HP and can drop a Gremlin's Tail. I forget what that does. They can also use Stop Spell against you, so watch out for that. Not, this island's actually a really good place for level grinding for quite some time in the game. So if you're gonna do it, I recommend doing it on this island for the good remainder of it. Anyway, for some reason this castle starts you outside the main area. I don't know why, but it does. And this is what the echoing flute's use is. If you have it, and you play it in certain areas, you will actually get the echo that it's named for. Only in areas where there are crests, however. Hence why this item is entirely optional. If you know where they are, you don't need it at all. Ah, that's an echo I hear. Looks like there's one here. I at least like how they gave you an option to tell, gave you a way to tell if there are crests nearby. Well, that's useless. Actually, the Dragon Killer is a pretty good sword, if I recall correctly. But, I don't need it. Let's rest up, just in case we might have a kind of boss fight coming up. Actually, I forget, do the later versions of the game actually have, like, boss music for battles that are considered boss battles? I don't think they do. Anyway, talk to the king here. In order to pretty much go in a Colosseum battle against that little dog thing in there. And what is this dog thing but a Saber Lion? Around 80 HP, you can drop an Iron Spear, which is fairly useful, I suppose, if you're early in the game. And be careful because this guy is fast like the Saber Tigers. I think he still gets 2 turns, and he hits hard. This is a guy we'll be seeing in late game dungeons, so yeah. And talk to him again to get the Moon Crest. Now you might be wondering, Kyle, the crests are probably cluttering up your inventory, right? Nope, they go into their own little inventory screen there, right below your gold. Thank you! Because that's one of the worst things in RPGs, when you have plot-important items that take up inventory space, in limited space inventories. Well, most games, if the inventory is big enough, I don't mind it, but like, say, Final Fantasy IV, I need those 48 slots for something else. Don't even get me started on Final Fantasy 2, was it? Or was it 3? I know once you get past 5, it's not really much of a pain. Anyway, to get to our next destination, we want to head east of this island and then south once it's off-screen. Because it's overall faster than a lot of the other methods. Mind you, I will say, this part of the game is very non-linear. You can probably go in any order, it's just that you'll be encountering harder enemies much earlier than you probably should. And this next area is one that they foreshadow if you talk to a lot of the NPCs, like I'm not doing. If you were at the, not Cannock, if you used a certain teleports at Meadenhall, you could have actually seen this place before. Welcome to the town of Zahan. Now, if you were to talk to certain NPCs, they would mention that someone here had a golden key, and also has a dog. Apparently, this guy has really crap pocket space because they dropped his key. So now we got the golden key and can now open golden doors. Now the game's opened up quite a bit more than it had before. And for our next destination, we actually want to head west. Quite a ways west, actually, and slightly north, and some new enemies. Oh, Vampyri. I actually like how this game, for when it has multiple enemies of a certain kind, like big rats or big mouse and such, they actually give the proper plural, like it's Vampyri, big mice. Very good attention to detail in their game. Most games will do like Vampiruses or mices. So I thank you for that. Anyway, Vampyrus, around 57 HP, can drop a wing at the Wyvern, which isn't really that useful. And they hurt. A lot. They're probably your worst nightmare around this point in the game. They actually kind of remind me of a certain enemy from Final Fantasy 5? Yeah, they do. They remind me of the Hiryu. Yeah, so let's heal up after that, because I don't like death. And there's our next destination right here. This is entirely optional unless you're playing the Game Boy Color version and get that side quest. Because that Leaf of the World Tree I was mentioning, it is right here. Like other key items, quote-unquote, it will respawn once you use it. And what it is essentially a one-use Phoenix Down from the Final Fantasy series. Revives a character from the dead. Like, if you use it, it does respawn there, so it is technically infinite use. You just have to go back and get it every time. Very, very useful. And welcome to Wellgarth Town. What? Where's the town? Well, now that we got the golden key, we can find it. Why this entire town's underground, I'm not sure. Also, talk to this lady to get some music to play. This is actually the file select theme, if I recall correctly. And if you talk to people around town, they'll mention the fact that you can actually buy the jailer's key here, but they never tell you where. Gee, I wonder where it is. It costs 2,000 gold, so it's a bit expensive, but it's useful. So now, with that, we can open all three kind of doors, because now we have the jailer's key. Mind you, eventually all three of these keys will lose use. But not for a bit. Not until I get a certain awesome spell. Also, I love this song. And now, also, if you were talking to other NPCs like I am not, around the towns, especially the more recent ones, they'll mention someone named Raj Fastfinger. This guy threw him in prison, but he somehow still escaped. However, it's not as it seems, because these guys are just too lazy to check 5 feet outside the cells. Because, well, as we shall see momentarily, he's right here. You are a crap security guard, dude. And for finding him, we get the Watergate key. That is a one-time use key. We'll be using it a bit later. Pretty much the only reason the NPCs set him up earlier is so you can know that he existed for that. Not that useful, if you ask me. And with that, it's time to head to our next destination, which is east of the World Tree, actually. I do love how big the water domains for enemies are, because you'll run into a lot of man-o'-wars and sea slugs throughout the entire ocean. And our destination is right here. If you were paying attention earlier during the whole warping around the monolith sequence, this is the fire monolith. And remember, someone said there is a crest here. So, let's check that out. Looks like there is. Now, I'm not sure how you're supposed to figure this out, but similar to something in Dragon Quest I, you can go outside and search for something that doesn't look like there should be anything there at all. Thanks, game. Thanks. Anyway, now that we have the golden key, we can also explore the world a bit more, so let's head through this warp into here. And let me just say, we're in a fairly familiar area. We're back in the Cannock Monolith! I like how they kind of hid that from you, that's pretty clever. I'm just gonna use Repel so I cannot have any useless random battles around here. The way the Repel spell works is that it either lowers or negates all random battles that have enemies leveled than you. And it also lasts a certain amount of steps, so watch out for that. It's kind of like the Repels from the Pokemon series, as I mentioned. And now that we're here in Cannock Castle, there's this golden door we couldn't open earlier. You want to open this door. Let me tell you this. Also, I'm gonna need inventory space, so here, Peter, have a key. Well, don't just stand there, open the treasure chest. Well, sure, fine, yeah. And in it, we get the best shield in the game, the Shield of Erdrick. I would ask why it's there, but at least it's in the hands of some of Erdrick's descendants. That is the best shield in the game for the main character. I don't think the Prince of Cannock can equip it in the Game Boy Color version. Because I know the Prince of Cannock can equip equipment that he can't in the Game Boy Color version here. Wait. Scratch that, reverse it. And it's a much better shield. In fact, I think it is just the best shield in the game, period. So let's sell that leather shield. It served us well. And now we're back in the fire monument. And immediately getting into a random battle with a sorcerer. Around 55 HP, can drop a clothes hiding, and can cast Firebane on you. Which hurts. Ow. You, sir, are a jerk. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we'll continue our search for the crests around the world of Torlin, I believe it is. See you guys then.